In this new Ultimate Team series, I make the best team I believe possible, picking players from all eras of NBA history. It isn't just about how talented the teams are, but I'm also trying to build teams that would gel and execute well together. Today, we're looking at the Ultimate Bulls team. Before I get started, here are the rules you need to know. To build each franchise's ultimate team, I will be picking a starting 5, a second unit representing each position, and then 3 additional rotation players at any position I choose. In total, there will be 13 roster spots. It's worth mentioning that I will not simply be building these teams based on how talented each player is, but I'll also be factoring in how well these players would do together as teammates. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting at the point guard position is the sensational and explosive Derrick Rose. His peak may have been short-lived, but before the ACL tear, he was one of the best players in the entire league, as he was the youngest MVP winner in NBA history, securing the award at just the age of 22. Not only was he one of the fastest players in the game, but his ability to finish around the rim was absolutely lethal, as he had a dangerous layup package and amazing mid-air body control, reminiscent of another former great out of Chicago. In his heyday, he was the floor general of a strong and defensively minded Bulls team, and on the Ultimate Squad, it will be more of the same, except just a million times better. Starting at the shooting guard position is a guy who was pretty decent at basketball, Michael Jordan. What do I have to say that you guys don't already know? MJ is arguably the greatest two-way player in basketball history, as he has 10 scoring titles and 9 first-team all-defensive selections. Basically, all the post scoring will be covered thanks to this 6'6" guard. And with Jordan's clutch gene providing his playoff scoring average of 33 points per game, he'll certainly make Chicago a force to be reckoned with, regardless of who they're matched up against. At the starting small forward is the 6'7" slasher Scottie Pippen. Right next to Jordan, Pippen will make the perimeter defense an absolute nightmare for opposing guards. But beyond that, Pippen will help the Bulls execute in transition. And between Rose, Jordan, and Scottie, they'll have one of the most terrifying fast break trios of all time. I wouldn't necessarily describe Derrick Rose as a pure point guard, so when it comes to facilitating, Scottie's contributions will be very appreciated as basically a point forward. Starting at power forward for this Chicago group is the man they call the Worm, Dennis Rodman. As if this team wasn't already stacked enough on the defensive end, Rodman provides yet another player who can claim to be an all-time great defender. Even against some of the other Ultimate franchise teams, the Bulls will still likely be winning the Battle of the Boards, as Dennis was the best rebounder throughout the 1990s, nearly getting as high as 20 rebounds per game over the course of multiple seasons. He won't be providing much offense, but with the wings on this roster, it's not like it's even necessary for their success. Now finally, we move away from the 96 Bulls, and starting at the center position will be the underrated center of the 1970s, Artis Gilmore. This 7'2" monster in the paint joined the Bulls in 1976 at the age of 27, and at his best, he was averaging about 23 points per game and 13 rebounds a game. Along with that, he was also a fierce rim protector, which is something the Bulls never had during their dynasty days of the 1990s. Obviously, he will be a massive upgrade from Luke Longley, which I'm sure Jordan and Pippen will appreciate. Now onto the second unit. The backup point guard will be the 6'3" sharpshooter Steve Kerr. Although the Bulls bolster a ridiculously powerful starting 5, you may have noticed that one of the major things the roster was lacking so far is three-point shooting, and Kerr is simply one of the most efficient three-point shooters in the history of the game. At his best in 1995 and 1996, he shot over 50% from three-point distance in back-to-back seasons. With his remarkable ability to catch and shoot with extreme lethality, he will operate as a great floor spacer for a team packed with many dynamic wing slashers. The backup point guard will be the 6'7" wing Jimmy Butler. Although he's become most famous in his years since, many people often forget that the highest scoring season of Butler's career was actually in his youth in Chicago. In 2017, he actually averaged 24, 6, and 5 while hitting nearly 37% of his three-point attempts, which will be pivotal to this team. Jimmy Butler being the substitution for Michael Jordan basically means that opposing defenses will never be able to relax at any point of the game. The backup small forward is the 6'5" scorer DeMar DeRozan. He's only been with the Bulls for the last couple of seasons, but in that time, he's been an elite weapon offensively, averaging a career-high 27.9 points per game in 2022. If for some reason Scottie is struggling offensively, DeRozan will be a massive charge to the offense off the bench. The backup power forward will be the 6'8" star from the 1970s, Bob Love. Bob is one of the great forgotten two-way players of NBA history, as he made 3 All-Defense teams and was an elite scoring 4, getting as high as 25.8 points per game in 1972. He was a solid rebounder, meaning that he'll be a great substitution for Rodman as the Bulls continue to dominate on the boards. The backup center for the Bulls will be the 6'11" All-Star Joakim Noah. This guy was a consistent double-double player in his days alongside of Derrick Rose. Noah was also a frustrating presence in the paint defensively, and over the course of his career, he secured 3 All-Defense Team selections, including the 2014 season where he won the Defensive Player of the Year. Between Rodman, Gilmore, Bob Love, and Noah, there will never be a safe time for opposing teams to enter the painted area. And now for the 3 rotation players for this squad. The first of these 3 players is the 6'10" small forward Toni Kukoc. This talented wing will provide the Bulls with much needed perimeter shooting, and as a solid ball handler, he's very capable of making plays for himself or for others. Add in the fact that he's one of the best clutch shot makers on the entire team, and he might even see some minutes in crunch time. The second rotation player is the 6'10" power forward Horace Grant. He was a consistent double-double during his prime, and was the Bulls' 3rd scoring option after Jordan and Pippen. He will provide low-post stability for the team, both offensively and with the loose balls. The 3rd rotation spot, and the final spot on this roster, goes to the 6'3" shooting guard Ben Gordon. This guy was an absolute bucket in his prime, consistently averaging around 20 points per game. He was an elite 3-point shooter who made 40% of his attempts over the course of his career. He would usually take his game to another level in the postseason, which will be an added bonus to this team of postseason regulars. So here's a final look at the complete roster of this Ultimate Bulls team. Obviously, you have some of the greatest players of all time on this roster, but I gotta admit, the one major scary theme about this squad seems to be their suffocating defense, as both units provide some intimidating two-way threats. Here is my list of honorable mentions for the Bulls. To be honest, picking the final 3 roster spots for this group was extremely tough, considering the quality of ballers who are still left on the board. Should any of these players have made the roster instead? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.